Hey everybody, we're back again today with a little different twist on our classic album series here with Sam St. John. Sam and I have done 10 classic album song rankings with 10 different members of the VC, and we're just going to condense that, review it, rehash it, and pick out our 10 best number one songs from those 10 albums, if that makes any sense. We're going to rank the 10 songs that we chose as number one for each specific album. So in order, this is what we've done so far. If you want to go back and check these videos out, I'll have them in the description below. We started out our series with Band on the Run by Paul McCartney and Wings. We did this with the Canadian Studmuffin himself, Larry Graves. We had a ball doing it. It was great for Larry to join us. Our second album, the great Bob Dylan, Highway 61 Revisited, we did with Glenn KELLAWAY from the Basement. Then Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, Robert's on My Turntable. And we really wish you go back and check these out if you missed them the first time around. Our fourth venture was Van Morrison's 1970 album, Moondance. We did that with Randall Nelson. Fifth album, the band, self-titled Brown album. Did that with JT's Record Room. Then we moved on to AC/DC Back in Black with MUTHA ALAMARE. Then we hit the big one, 1971 Led Zeppelin 4 with Gary, Physical Format, Rock and Roll. Then we went to both Sam and I's favorite artists, pretty much, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Damn the Torpedoes. We did that with Josh, Flipside Vinyl with JC. Then we hit Rumours 1977, Fleetwood Mac, of course. We did that with Tom Williams. And the last one we did with Jeff Whitcher was Pet Sounds, the Beach Boys, of course, Brian Wilson's masterpiece from 1966, Jeff Whitcher, Vinyl Destination. So those are the 10 that we've done thus far. And we each, of course, ranked all the songs on the albums. And Sam and I decided it would be good to go back and just remember what we picked at number one and try to rank those songs. That's a real challenge because every song obviously is an awesome tune. So Sam, how's it going today? And how about this project, man?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. It's hard to believe that we've had 10 weeks worth of videos. And on top of that, we've had a few other side projects in between. So this project has been in our heads now for probably 13 or 14 weeks. That's really crazy. And we were kind of talking, texting back and forth before, how this might become a regular thing, like every 10 albums or however long we do this project, which I would love to continue as long as possible, just to kind of do this rehash of our 10 favorites from the 10 albums that we have done so far. And you were saying to me too earlier this afternoon on the phone that only one song that we've done so far we've agreed on. So we're going to have essentially 19 different songs. So it's going to be like a new list.
I was stunned when I did that. I was writing down each album as we went and picking out the number ones. And it wasn't until the last, I don't want to say which one it was, but it was only one of the 10 that we agreed was the number one song of those specific albums. So, so let's jump in. You'll go first and then we'll go back and forth. What did you have as your number 10 of the number ones we picked?
Well, first of all, this was really, really tough to do. And it's going to seem like been talking about these 10 songs that, like, oh, number 10, it's just, it's number 10, but these were all number one songs. So it's kind of like picking, like your 10, like pick your 10 favorite artists, take your favorite song from each of those artists and then rank it. That's right. Kind of what this is like. Even though some of these albums I knew a lot more than others, this was really hard, especially in the middle. But even number 10 was tough. But I went with Hell's Bells by AC/DC, mostly because it's not fully my style of music. But that song, it hypes me up when I hear it. You know, that the big chiming of the church bell at the beginning, and just a slow intro. They're in no hurry to get there. You got that fantastic. I think it's the opening track off of Back in Black, which that's one of the few. There are 10 albums. I don't own 2 of the albums, and Back in Black's one of the ones I don't own. So yeah, number 10 for me, Hell's Bells. I love it. I mean, it's such a killer song, but because it's, you know, not exactly my wheelhouse of music, it's number 10.
Yeah, we're on the same path, because I picked You Shook Me All Night Long. That's from the same album. That was my number 1 song off of Back in Black, and that's my number 10 as well, just for the same reason. It's not my preferred genre of music, although it's a great album, and one of the better AC/DC albums for sure. And I like the combination of hard rock and the hooks and the solos and the different guitar riffs. It's melodic, sing along. It's a classic AC/DC song, but it's going to come in at number 10 for me because I like those other 9 better.
Yeah, and that's probably what you're going to see as this list progresses, is that it comes down to style and taste, and you know. But anyway, number 9, I do have this album, as I think most of the world has, is Time by Pink Floyd. Again, a fantastic song. The whole, you know, taking away the moments that make up a dull day, that line will forever be one that just sticks with me. I love how David Gilmour sings in the song. Again, this is one of those albums that's very hard to break up, and we kind of talked about that with Robert, that it's one piece of art and we're taking out one of the pieces of the puzzle, or, you know, whatever you want to call it. But again, not exactly my wheelhouse for music, although you can see, I mean, even by like the binding of this CD, it's turning white. I have listened to this album quite a bit. I didn't buy this used, so I've played this album, you know, 100 times probably, and I love it. I love this On Time, and it'd be interesting to go back and redo these 10 albums to see if it would be the same 10. But I was going with what I was feeling at the time, and I didn't mean for that to happen. Sorry, folks. You can unsubscribe to me now. But number 9 is Time, Pink Floyd.
Yeah, my number 9 was the off the first album we did, and that's the title track, Band on the Run. Love it. Love McCartney. Probably one of my favorite McCartney solo songs or wing songs. I like how it's broken up into sort of a medley. You got these different styles of music in there. Starts out with Stuck Inside These Four Walls, real slow, and then you got and then If I Ever Get Out of Here picks it up a pace, and then at the end, The Rain Exploded with a Mighty Crash. Just different tempos and styles within the same song, and always a big fan of that song. So it comes in at number 9 based on the 10 that we've got at number 1 so far. Close call, though. Could have been number 8.
I've mentioned this when we've done streams, and I think on other videos that we've done, that song, when I saw McCartney a few weeks ago, for some reason that was one of the songs that made me emotional, was Band on the Run. It's not you know, it's not a tug at your heartstrings kind of song, but it was one of those where I was listening to it and I was like, man, you know, we're not going to get much more of this from McCartney. And that, you know, that being one of his biggest hits, Beatles or not Beatles, it hit me a different way. But
it's so well put together too. The structure of it is so.
It's Beatley in that sense.
Yeah.
Kind of like A Day in the Life or something like that.
Yep.
Or even I've Got a Feeling to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
Number 8 for me, from Led Zeppelin 4, Going to California. That was my number 1, which was surprising when we did it with Gary. But again, if anybody that doesn't watch me but is subscribed to Rich, you know, I'm an Americana guy, and that's the most Americana song in this album, as the people that know this album know. You know, the whole that whole guitar. I love the acoustic playing on it. I love Robert Plant singing. I even like when he goes into the stratosphere at the end with his vocals, and it seemed like the wrath of the gods got a punch in the nose. I love everything about that. Just beautiful, beautiful song, and it really breaks up some of the heavier tracks on this album. So it's number 8, but again, it's number 8, but it was my number 1, on this album. So
Yeah. My number 8 is off the Pink Floyd album, Dark Side of the Moon. That's Us and Them. I had that at number 1 at the time. Still a great song. It's kind of jazzy. It's got these sax solos in there. It's kind of a hypnotic tune. It talks about war and divisiveness and capitalism, communism, black, white, rich, poor, Democrat, Republic. You can use it any way you want. There's us and there's them, and it's a real soothing song at times, and it makes you think. It works perfectly within the consist of the album, so love it. Number 8. There's so many songs that could have been number 1 off that album, like many of these albums. That's the one I chose on that day. We did that with Robert, and great album. One of the best albums ever made in my book.
Well, it was funny when you were showing all those albums at the beginning. I was like, man, that's a collection of albums right there.
Just those 10 alone. Yep.
Yeah. Number 7 for me, it's the second album that I don't own, the second and final album, and believe it or not, it's from the band. It's from the Brown album. It's the Rick Danko beautifully sung song, Unfaithful Servant. Love that song. I love the sadness in Rick's voice. I will say that since we did that video with JT, and a little bit of a thanks to Robert Hagerman, because he did a video fairly recently about a band that you should listen to, and he did the band, and I was like, daggone you, Robert, why don't I have more band in my collection? So I sent him a picture. I was like, I finally bought The Last Waltz and Stage Fright. I didn't own those albums, and I had Robert to blame, so Robert made me a little bit poor. But anyway, I don't have the Brown album, but I love that song. I love Rick singing. So sad about this servant. He did some sort of unknown wrong to the master, and we kind of brushed over this with JT, but just a beautiful song. It's not one that I'll listen to a lot, which might be why it's a little bit further back in my list, but that also helps me not become tired of it or sick of it. So right now, that's number 7.
My number 7 is, believe it or not, Tom Petty's Refugee. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers off Down the Torpedoes. I wanted to put this higher, but I just couldn't justify it based on those other 6 in front of it. This is just a classic rock staple these days. One of the better Petty albums. He sings with such conviction. The band's in top form. You got Stan Lynch on drums pounding away. The great guitar of Mike Campbell and Ben Montench with the organ. Everything's perfect on this song. I know they worked at it really hard, like 100 times in the studio before they perfected it. And Jimmy Iovine was the producer on the album, and it's one of his crowning achievements. I think it's a great song, and Petty's vocals killer. Number 7 for me.
That's surprising to me. I wouldn't have put money there. Not at
I
all.
was trying to be fair.
That album is usually your backdrop. That's big.
Yeah,
that's big. A shocker, folks. Number 6 for me. I'm sorry to Randy Nelson.
Ooh.
And It Stoned Me is number 6. Well, for one thing, just an incredible opener to the album. One of Van's most poetic and most nostalgic songs ever. I love this period of Van, between like Moondance going into his band, the Street Choirs, St. Dominic's Preview, Tupelo Honey. That whole string of albums is just fantastic. Van was obviously being influenced by American folk music, but also folk music in Ireland. Yeah. And the country. He was hanging out with the band themselves around this time, and Bob Dylan was everywhere, and so everybody was kind of competing against one another in a healthy way. But And It Stoned Me, just a beautiful song. I don't know why I put it so low, and again, like I was saying at the beginning, like number 6 to number 2 was incredibly difficult. I don't know why it's number 6. There's no really other reason other than I kind of closed my eyes and had to jumble these around. So right now, And It Stoned Me, number 6.
Yeah, I tried to be honest with myself as far as I didn't want to put a song ahead of another one that I thought was not only a better written song, but more iconic and important song. So I tried
Yeah,
to.
I kind of did it in the sense that, like, if I was to play these songs, how badly do I want to hear these songs?
Yeah,
Kind
exactly.
of.
Yeah, and some of the ones that I put at the top, we may have heard them a million times, but they're still such standards and so classic that I had to give them their due diligence and put them in the right spot. So my number 6 is The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down from the band's Brown album. Just an incredible tune here. Levon Helm sings it like he was a witness, like he was there. His voice fits a Southern person who is talking about the night they drove old Dixie down, the Civil War and the aftermath and the pain and the agony of everything that they describe in that particular song. You know, it's so authentic, descriptive, visionary imagery, everything you want. Robbie Robertson, you know, whether he wrote all by himself or he had help, we'll never know the true story behind that. But it's just a beautifully written song. It may have some inaccuracies that some people quibble over, but when you hear it, man, you believe Levon Helm was there and he's telling you this story, and it grabs you emotionally. And I think it's a wonderful tune and a great album. I'm surprised it only landed at 6, but I wanted to give my top 5 special notice that they're the 5 best songs that we've done so far, in my opinion.
And I'll say about that song, that's one of those great reasons why you should own a physical copy of the album, because you hear that song, like you said, you think Levon was there, and you look at that picture of them on the Brown album, they look like Civil War reenactors, vets. And I mean, because like they're not wearing clothes that look like, Woodstock or, Jimi Hendrix or Jefferson Airplane or the Dead. They were wearing clothes, like those clothes could pass any time period.
Yeah.
And their tired, weary look, they look like they were in the American Civil War.
They got the sunken eyes and the overcoats. They look,
they're soaking wet. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful cover. Whoever shot that, I don't know. It's an all-timer.
Yeah. Number 5 for me, again, I've said this before, but thanks again to Rich for this album. Rumors, Never Going Back Again is my number 5. Again, I think it was you who said it, except it's funny, this when we did this album, I thought we were doing another album. So I kind of came up with the ranking 5 minutes before we started filming, but I think you and Tom both said that it was the most Sam song on the album, which is, again, Never Going Back Again.
Yes.
And those of you that know, it's just 2 minutes, but I wish it was 3 times as long. I love Lindsey's playing. I wish he had done like a long instrumental, and that's probably why I prefer some of the live versions more, because it lasts a little bit longer. Lindsey kind of slows it down.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's him with Mick, comes down like on a scaled down kit. He's on the brushes, and John McVie's on the acoustic bass. It's just beautiful song. I've loved it. It's probably in my definitely top 50 favorite songs of all time. Maybe 25. I absolutely love that song, and not much else to say that hasn't already been said about it. I love it. I love the simplicity of it, but it's also very detailed, as Tom was talking about, and myself, who both play guitar. It's not as easy as it sounds to play. So, and
he plays it so effortlessly too. That's
his fingers are going 2 different speeds. His thumb is going, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great song. My number 5 is from the same album. I picked The Chain. This is the song it's my favorite Fleetwood Mac song, because it showcases all facets of that band. You got the great bass line everybody knows from John McVie, and Lindsey, of course, the searing guitar solo when they kick it in. And the vocals are all melding together, Keep Us Together, Running in the Shadows. And The Chain, of course, like I mentioned in our video, you need everybody in the chain. One link is you're only as tight as the strongest link or the weakest link, whatever you want to say. You need everybody pulling on the same chain. The bass player is just as important as the vocalist, as the drummer, and Christine. Everybody's equal. They're all part of the chain that makes Fleetwood Mac the tight band that they were at that time. And I love that song. I mean, I could listen to that 10 times in a row and not get sick of it. So, but it only comes in at number 5. So the 4 songs I have in front of it are killer.
Yeah. Well, yeah, number 4 again, it might be a surprise to people because of, again, I've already talked about Van Morrison. He's one of my favorites, and this guy I love to death. But number 4 for me is Desolation Row, which is my number 1 off of Highway 61. Beautiful ending to an album, again, 11 minutes long of just pure stream of consciousness poetry. Again, I was fortunate to have seen him do this song live the second time that I saw him, and it was a highlight for me to see him do this song live. One of those just fantastic songs where he's got all these characters that he throws in there, you know, Romeo and the Jester and so, you know, Quasimodo and Esmeralda. He has all these characters, and it's classic mid-60s Bob Dylan. Love the song. Again, I've said all I want to say about it on the last video, but it's number 4, which again shows the strength of the top 3 that I have here, because Dylan's my number 1 favorite solo artist. So that says a lot.
Yeah, my number 4 is the song I said I wanted to play at my funeral, and that's Van Morrison's Into the Mystic. So the 3 songs ahead that are even better. But I love Van, particularly at this time, like you mentioned, that string of albums, even from Astral Weeks through Moondance, Band and Street Choir, St. Dominic's Preview, and then finally Tupelo Honey. That run of 5 albums is Van's peak. Into the Mystic, he takes, it's a spiritual journey. It's a short song, relatively so. Got the beautiful voice. It brings feeling to you. It makes me weep sometimes when I hear it, if I think about my life. And you know, he's taking elements of the world. We were born before the wind, also stronger than the sun. He's taking the wind and the sun. We sailed into the mystic, and you can see somebody just laying in their hospital bed or whatever and sailing away into you don't know where you're going, let's say, spiritual unknown. That's what I take out of the song. You can take it as a love song too. It's just beautifully written and performed. Can't get enough of it, but it falls in at number 4 for me.
Number 3 for me, I got this album after we ranked this particular record, and I'm glad I did. I've really been getting into his solo career. That's McCartney, and it's the song Jet. Again, what can I say? I mean, people, you know, the album, the horn section at the beginning, just strong, just slow, and then the song is in a different tempo than the horns. You know, you come in with that bam, 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 and then the drums come in after that, and do Jet. And it's just one of those songs that gets my blood pumping. I just got the Wings Over America album, and when I heard when that song started playing, I just turned it up in my car. It was the weekend, you know. It's just one of those great drive in your car, rock and roll, you know, powerhouse songs, and it's classic 70s McCartney. I love it. I love his voice on it. I love to hear Linda in the background, and she really added a lot to Wings. But yeah, just a top-notch song. I love it. And again, top 3 of my top 10 number 1 songs I've done this series. What can I say, you know?
Yeah, these are all classics. My number 3 is God Only Knows off of Pet Sounds from the Beach Boys. Love Carl Wilson's voice on this. Perfect song, beautifully arranged. You know, they're in Brian's in the studio. It's he's conceiving this. He had help with Tony Asher on the lyrics, obviously, but I just I can't find the words to describe how great the song is. But again, it's number 3. I'll let Sam talk about it when he gets to it, because it is the one song that we have in common among the 10.
Stay tuned, but I think everybody knows where that's going to land, especially after this. Number 2 for me, Even the Losers.
Wow, that's a good one.
Dan the Torpedoes. I love that song. I love to play it myself on guitar. There's some great live versions of McCartney, of Petty doing this live acoustic, where it's just him starting it, and then he sings most of the song, and then at the end you have Campbell come in with that solo. Just fantastic. I love the acoustic version. I love the record, the standard version. Very simple. I love that opening line. It was nearly the summer. We sat up on your roof, smoked cigarettes, and stared at the moon. Just one of the great opening lines. And again, just shows Petty's strength as a songwriter, but also his strength as crafting a story in such a quick, rock and roll song. And Even the Losers is a prime example. It's, again, we've talked about this album being kind of when Petty found his voice. Not necessarily his singing voice, but his writing, the style of the band. He wasn't copying McGuinn. He wasn't copying Bob. He was doing Tom Petty. But this song is one of those, it's that merging of Tom Petty, the Byrds, and Bob Dylan all in one song. And I think that's why I love it so much, is that it's that clear moment where you're like, Petty's his own god now. He's one to be reckoned with. And, a few years down the road, he'd be singing with Bob Dylan. So that's pretty cool. So number 2, Even the Losers.
Yep. My number 2 is one of the most recognized iconic songs in rock history. That's Stairway to Heaven, Led Zeppelin 4, their signature song. And again, this is one of those ones that has the different sections in it with the tempo and the style. It starts out with real slow and acoustic, and it builds into this just rock and roll, balls to the wall classic, and undeniably great. I don't care if you heard it 5 times, 500 times. It's special. And again, all 4 members of the band take their turns and different times in here and showcase their talents. I like the line, "There's still time to change the road you're on," and kind of a life lesson, and just a beautifully written and performed song. And I had to put it high on the list, and it really took its place above some songs that may be personal favorites, but I only thought it was fair to put Stairway here at number 2 for me.
Yeah. Some people consider it the greatest of all time. So what can you say?
It had to be up there. And to go ahead of, for me, for those spiritual songs like God Only Knows, Into the Mystic, even The Chain I love, but it's tough to rank these. We already talked about that. It's real difficult.
Great. Well, along the same vein,
Yeah,
the greatest song of all time, in my opinion. So there's no surprise. I've said this a million times in my own videos on these streams. I almost even said at the beginning of the video, where I should have said, the big build up for me is what's number 2, because it's my favorite song. It's from my favorite album, God Only Knows. It's just a masterpiece. I love the vocals at the end with the almost choral arrangement that Brian put together. The Wrecking Crew is beautiful on it. I love the flute at the beginning. Carl's voice is beautiful, and you figure Carl is only like 19 or 20 when he's singing the song, which is hard to believe. With that kind of passion that he has behind these lyrics. These are deep lyrics for a kid who just finished up high school, like a year before. So, I will go to the grave, I think, saying that God Only Knows is my favorite song of all time. We all go through phases where we have songs that we love. For a while, maybe at one point in my life, my favorite song, maybe my favorite song was like The Weight by the band, or maybe my favorite song was American Girl by Tom Petty. But for the duration that I've known about this album and have really studied Brian Wilson, that I think God Only Knows will forever hold that crown in my music echelon of tunes that I know. So God Only Knows, number 1, big surprise.
That's a great choice, and it fits you, because you said it's number 1 and you backed it up. Yeah. My number 1 is Bob Dylan's Like a Rolling Stone. I just couldn't put it anywhere but number 1. I love lyrics. Anybody that knows me knows that. And I just think this is a masterpiece of songwriting. It's cynical, confrontational, just he can put it all down. And I love the harmonica in it, you know, and that whining, no direction home, once upon a time, felt like a you know, all that stuff that he gets into, and he can rhyme anything and make it believable. And Al Cooper's organ here, the Bloomfield guitar, it just fits.
And it's that opening moment of that album, just that bop on the snare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's symbolic of what's to come. Like he's made the turn from the folk to the pop rock genre and electric.
Because he had a foot in both doors on the previous album with Bringing It All Back Home, and then this one he said, "Forget that."
See that bop, and then it just takes off from there. Yeah. What can I say? I just think it's a masterpiece, and for it to beat out Stairway and God Only Knows, it's got to be one hell of a song.
And Tom Petty. Yeah.
And Tom Petty, which I buried at 7.
Yeah. Yeah, be it known, Rich hates Tom Petty.
Yeah, that'll be my signature. Quote now.
The guy that displays Petty behind him.
He might think he's a Petty fan, but he's really not.
The poser, yeah.
Anyway, that was cool. I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, we did it.
But and we're going to try and do it after we get the next 10 racked up, and we do 10 more classic albums. We'll set aside our number ones and come back and reevaluate and see where they
around Thanksgiving. Yeah.
The way we're going. It took us 13 weeks to get these 10. So what 13 weeks from now could be Thanksgiving. Could be well into the fall anyway. But we'll see. Anyway, it's always fun to get together with Sam. Check his channel out, Sam St. John. He's running a contest right now with Glenn KELLAWAY from the basement. Those who know, watch them play together on Glenn's trips down to Florida. He stops a little pit stop in Sam's neck of the woods. They do some songs. They on short rehearsal time, really. They put together these wonderful tunes. Glenn on banjo and Sam on guitar. I'm waiting for the harmonica to pop out one of these days. Maybe it will, maybe it won't.
Yeah.
And his contest, Sam, talk about your contest real quick before we go.
Yeah, I've got a video on my channel. It's called Name Our Band. So if you make an entry, please comment. I've had a few entries that I've kind of caught just because I'll follow these channels. But please comment on that video or any video because I'll check on my comments. So just let me know that you made an entry. We want you to name our bands and give us 3 song suggestions that we can do. But we're going to base the winning off of the band name, and then we'll go with one or all of the songs depending on what they're like. And then there's a Amazon gift card in the winnings. But really the big winning is that, you know, our name every post future videos will be what you named us. And I know Glenn has talked about coming down here at some point, actually playing a gig somewhere. He'd want to stay here for like a week and we would rehearse and
that'd be cool.
Get songs together. So we'll see what happens in the years to come. So, but there you go. It goes to the end of July, so there's plenty of time. But I'd like to get it rolling. I've only got like 11 entries right now. So
yeah, that'll pick up because you did give a long window of opportunity. I still haven't done mine, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for the right name. I've been banging around a couple different names and they're a little off. So I want to make sure it's a decent entry before I put it in. So I encourage everybody to go out there. Let's get Sam to 500 subs. That's what he's aiming for right now, the next level. And that's very attainable. So check him out. I'm going to put all of the 10 videos that we've done together in this series below. If there's one you missed, there'll be a link to it to make it easy for you to access. We think they're cool and they showcase different members of the VC. So you're not getting just us, but 10 other guys that have really been generous with their time to come on and help us out. So we want to thank them again, all 10 of them. So again, look for that. Leave us some comments on this video of the 10 albums that we showcased in the beginning here. What would be your 10 best songs or your number 1 song? We like that kind of feedback. So for Sam, this is Rich. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time with our new 10 videos to come. By the time you see us again doing this, we'll have 20 in the book. So take care.
I'll be bold.
Yeah, I'll be probably in the grave, but that's another. Take care. We'll see you next time. Bye.